and I had some different thoughts earlier today, but I don't know where they went. But I wanted to tap in a little bit about I guess I could almost I've actually had in the last within like 1 week I had some this whole year and then the summer, like this whole year, as the year goes on, like I would say over the last 13 months, I've had experiences from month to month, from month to month, to to quarter year, to half year, and like that, to 3 quarters of a year, to a year, that I had not had before, even to the last, but then also back from half year to quarter year to month to week to day, like I've not had before. So I've had experiences, like for some examples, that I had a year ago, I had not had my own apartment. I had my own apartment. A year ago, I had not had a car that was mine. I had that. A year ago, I had not uploaded any content online. I near about a year ago this time, I had only hit like on a handful of videos in my entire career as a YouTube appreciator, and I had been watching YouTube for long, and I next to not like, and certainly not comment. The first time that the idea of commenting on a video occurred to me was when I would watch Fresh and Fit. I was watching Fresh and Fit around the time of the pandemic, and like it was unique that the just the way that they were the 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 guests, and then also their way of dialoguing, that format of being adults talking like that. It was really like groundbreaking at that time. But I had been consuming that kind of content that they were reaching for. Like I'm sounding like damn near a professor. I've only been on so many dates since that time. But I remember in about the year 2015, like the year 2015, I was doing pretty well, like doing with what I was doing for work, and I was getting ahead, and then I was using like a family's vehicle, and that vehicle sustained some damage, and then I paid for it, and I didn't have any difficulty paying for it at that time because I had been in a position to pay for it. But I remember I was taking that vehicle to a like a dealership near where I live, like a Tires Plus in my neighborhood, and there was a woman there who was really beautiful. Like she didn't have like she didn't have the greatest of teeth. Like if I go like this, like I probably have like more sturdy teeth. Like sometimes you actually don't know how you compare, how you stand toe to toe even against the opposite gender of like who you'd be attracted to, where you might have things going for you that's near about like what other people have. But she didn't have the best teeth, but she had the best smile, and then she had like she was a good looking person, but she had a beautiful body and a beautiful swagger and so everything about her was more and more beautiful. But she was a regular person to start with, and that's real beauty right there. That's real appeal. But I was like at I was at the I was in line, and I was I didn't know like if they were really having a lot of stuff to fix my car, or my family member's car, or they're just like finding things to fix. But like, oh, you got to get this and that and this and that, and I was like, oh, cool. She's pretty, so I don't have a problem bringing back. But I might have been getting like low. There ain't no way you can say that cool. Like I was getting low key fleas. That don't sound cool, but I'd be going there, and then at one time, like I was in line, and I had like I wasn't shy around women. I had been with women at that time in not a lot at around that time, but I had been with women in the past, and then I had looks in my life, like especially at that time, because I was doing all right, like for I was doing my own thing, and I was doing all right. So I get looks, but I actually didn't know what to do with looks, and I didn't know what things meant. Like I could feel what things meant, like because even if you don't have experience, you can feel what a vibe means. But like she was like, I remember one time she was like, you you don't I won't she's like, I won't bite. She said something like that, but I didn't know what like I didn't know what certain looks meant from women, and I didn't know like I didn't know how to engage women, and I didn't know like what type of stuff like would like challenge a woman or giving a woman something to remember you by, other than just like taking care of yourself and being a decent person. But so at that time, I fell down. There was like a video that came in my feed that was like real social dynamic. I said hello. I got retro on here. Hello. I said hi. What's up, retro? And I love me some retro Jordans. Well, your name when I see the name retro, I exactly think of Jordan sixes. That's the Jordans with the oranges with that little orange button on it. That little button that you go like that. Like it's almost damn near cooler than the Reebok pumps like that. That Jordan button. When I see retro, I don't think of nothing but some Jordan sixes. But that's a dope name too. And Honey said hi. What's up, Honey? I like the song Honey Love. I was shouting out that song Honey Love by R. Kelly from back in the day, back when he was great, before he had become great, was R. Kelly with the Honey Love. But back in that time, I didn't know what to do around. I could I had I was just young at that time, so I watched this channel, this show, this video by RSD Tyler talking about like coming out of your comfort zone, or getting past being like getting out of your shell. It was about getting out of your shell. And that sent me down a rabbit hole of, I would say, even to the present day, like my life has followed the trajectory. That was signal for me, like one thing that would change you. And so I learned a lot. So someone said I subscribe to you. Thank you. When you the subscribing means a lot to me, and I feel like you can tell more about who's rocking with you by the subscriber than the views, because like some people might land on something like oh damn, what's your favorite song? Oh, y'all talking heavy now. Y'all taking off the gloves now. What's your favorite song? Damn. Oh man, my favorite song. I had to actually take a moment for that. So my favorite song. Someone may not know my favorite song. I love doo-wop songs. There's a doo-wop group. It's a Thank you and good night. Thank you and good night. Thank you for showing me a wonderful time. Gee, everything just turned out so fine. I want to thank you and good night. Thank you and good night. Thank you and good night. Funny, the hours seem to go by so fast. I hope that this time won't be the last. I wanna thank you and good night. That's a song. I can't think the name of. It's like I love the doo-wop songs, but that's a particular doo-wop song from the doo-wop era that has a female singer. She sounds like a white woman, but she was actually African American, and she's my favorite artist. I'll have to drop it in the comment. But if you that song, that might just sound like a jerk sing. I might sound like anybody singing that. But if you hit that song when you happen to be in love, that it's the Cliftonairs. Anybody, so if anybody rock with me, check out the Cliftonairs, whatever pop up on YouTube by the Cliftonairs. That's my GOAT tier artist right there. I think her name was Amy something of the Cliftonairs. And that song, it's not dangerous. It's just like a fire. Heaven forbid, I don't touch firearms if I can help it. A firearm ain't normally dangerous unless it's in a certain person's hands. The Cliftonairs ain't dangerous unless you mess around and fall in love. You fall in love and you listen to you some, but for great songs, I like "The World Is So Cold" by Genuine. I love the Genuine The Bachelor album. "The World Is So Cold." "Lonely Days" by Genuine. Donnell Jones. "You Make Me Wanna" by Usher. Donnell Jones. That whole Donnell Jones album where he's like I love "This Love" by Donell Jones. "Teach Me How to Love" by Music Soul Child. I like a lot of your Fred Hammond had a album. A lot of Fred Hammond is great, but Fred Hammond had an album called "A Time to Love." That Music Soul Child appeared on there, but that whole Fred Hammond is called like that. I love me the Boys to Men. Like right now, I'm covering some Boys to Men song. I'll do me some Boys to Men right here. Like um um hold on Mm, oh, 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 oh. Like, don't have to stay. Um, don't have to stay. Oh man, I feel like I'm reaching for now, but oh, there you are, standing there, make me wanna reach out and touch you. And run my fingers through your hair. I know you gotta go, but I want you to stay and get a little closer and do things my way. Honey, honey, you're so beautiful. Honey, you're special too. You make me wanna do things that I never thought I'd do, like put you up in my home and buy you fancy things, babe. You make lots and lots of babies, and I'll buy you a big diamond ring. Oh, never, never go. and never go away from me, babe. Please stay, stay. Oh, never, never go, never go away. My bad. But I'm not. I was I was actually having a rough night, so I can feel it in my voice a little bit. But I was singing a little bit better earlier. The world is so cold. Why did you leave me standing there alone with my shadow? Looking for your presence, but it's not there. One thing's on my mind. The thought is having you. Got much good love to give. A lonesome way to live. You're a diamond, you're my world. Tell me, where did you go, baby? How could you leave that night and leave me all alone? Already the world is so cold. The world is so cold. Why did you leave me standing there alone with my shadow? Searching for your presence, but it's not there. I'm lost and all alone. No doubt I'm miserable. Got yeah. Oh, oh, can we try to make up for the lonely days? I love you, baby. Come with me. Tonight I'm gonna make you stay. My bad. I actually had some kind of rough experiences tonight. I don't mean to be hopping up and making an excuse for my own concert and stuff, but I actually had some real heavy stuff go down tonight. Like I was about to sing for some people and they told me shut the hell up talking and walked out of my face. We were around like a fire like that, and it just sometimes like your voice is very sensitive, so when you're actually about to be vulnerable to sing and someone say and somebody flip you the bird like that, you can feel it. That actually happened to me like recently tonight, so I could feel a little bit. But those have been some of my cuts right there. But I like some more cuts besides that too. Um, can I show my house? Damn. I ain't got a house actually. Be honest. Right now, I'm up in I'm actually in a shelter for people right now. Not a shelter, but it's nicer than a shelter where I'm at. But it's for people that are people that are getting their life they're getting their act together right now. Why God? That's why I'm getting cussed out in front of a fireplace like that because I'm at a place that actually got a fireplace, but it got people that are getting their life together and like people coming from all kinds of backgrounds. So like even when you want to be cool with people, like keep people coming from real hurt and stuff like that. And hurting people hurt people. So like I got a taste of I ain't gave somebody that medicine before, but I got a taste of medicine tonight. But that's a great question. That is a great question. What are your favorite cuts? But a lot of my cuts are like vocal music. A lot of them more and more, and I've been working on covering them. But and I've been getting better than I did right there. But I'm really going through right now. But what I meant to say is that so this whole year I've been experiencing things like I've never experienced before. Up until last week, I experienced things like I never experienced before. Up until today, I experienced things like I've never experienced before. So I'm up here getting my life together, and I met a man here, and I so like one thing I got on right now I got on a shawl. That shawl had been given to me by a homeless brother in the Twin Cities last year. It was a few days before I got up on hard times, and he could tell where I'm about to go, and he gave it to me. Like he gave me to this poncho. It's flyer than what you could buy in like Neiman Marcus. He gave it to me off his back. What are your favorite food and drinks? That's another good one. So my favorite drink, hands down, is coconut water. Like when you go to like the gas station, they ain't all got them, but I like coconut water. It's a little bit like an acquired taste. So my I had a friend that I went to elementary school with. In elementary, I could get over on him with basketball, but he would throw hands in at other kids in elementary. And then some people, there's a place in the Twin Cities called, I think it's called BT Bombers or something like that, and they trained up kids for boxers. So his name is I won't say his whole name, but his name had been Cisco. If you know of any like great boxers in Minnesota named Cisco, that's his name in elementary, but he still went by that. And he became a pro boxer, and I got up with him in life. And when I got up with him, I had been running a lot in college, so I could actually still outrun him, even though he was a pro boxer. And I met him. I'm flexing. I'm actually get my ass kicked like that, flexing on a pro boxer and shit. Like, oh, you want to run that back? But we had been. I got up with him when we were grown, like in our mid 20s, and he already had a professional record at that time. And I got up with him, and we were running around some lakes, and I could still get by him on just straight distance at a moderate speed. But but he would be drinking coconut water like that, and coconut water is really dope. It's just the right amount of sweetness, but it is really healthy. And it sometimes some people would argue it's better than water. I've seen a YouTube video, and this brother saying don't be drinking straight up water because it'll dilute your blood like that. And coconut water is dope. But as for drinks, like for real drinks, I like a lot of wine. Like when it's called for, I like wine. I've mentioned on this channel before that my favorite wine house is called Buena Vista. It's a heavy wine. It ain't cheap, but it ain't crazy. But if you don't know nothing about wine or you know everything about wine, Buena Vista is dope. And then I like some of your wines from Russia, and but then I like if I was just drinking me regular, like if I was just trying to have me a good time, if I was just trying to lick my wounds with some alcohol, I would have me just some rum. I just mess with rum. I actually looked at alcohol. All alcohol is not the same. Some of it is made out of fruit. Like wine is made out of fruit. Rum is made out of sugar. Vodka, I think that's made out of vegetables. Then there's others. There's some like some of your Irish stuff would be. Some of them is made out of rye, and then like your moonshine, I think that might be made out of. Damn, someone might help me out what moonshine is made out of. But all your different like your main like so your gin, vodka, rum, some of your like your regional stuff, like your Irish stuff, whiskey, your Canadian stuff, and then like some of your Mexican, like your some of your Mexican liquors. They're all like they're made out of like tequila. I think that's made out of a cactus, if I'm not mistaken. It's like some form of cactus, but all alcohol is not made the same. And then you even have some alcohol that's made out of like you can have it dandelion. That'd probably be the most healthy thing I can imagine would be dandelion wine. And then you have like some blueberry wine and raspberry. Some of that stuff is a little bit iffy because I'm like, can I really get jacked up with this stuff? I'm not trying to promote alcohol, but I'm just like, just it's actually knowledge, that all alcohol ain't the same. But I would mess it with rum. But also, when I would be having rum, I'll normally have it with pop. So if I was just finna lick my wound, the best way I know how to lick my wound, it'd be rum and pop, like Dr. Pepper or Coke. But that's a hell of a lot of sugar. If you actually know what that is, that's a lot of sugar in the pop in the first place. And then the fact that the rum is made out of molasses, you're asking for trouble with that. But I can do me like a whole like whatever I'm not sure if you call that like a pint or I think it's like a pint near about I can like whatever your larger size of standard like hard liquor is. I can handle me that whole thing with no help, and then I could do one shot after that if I was trying to be ballsy, and I could get past that without throwing up or much of a hangover. But I still disavow that, and I'm not trying to mess with that or promote that because the ganja became legal in the Twin City, or I'm sorry, in Minnesota. So I'll rather mess with ganja. But like for example, for ganja, right? Like for edibles. So like in the Twin Cities, they got these like at the spot where I got they got these they got your regular like a lot of if you had a THC drink, I sound like a jackass talking like this, flexing like this, but just for honesty, for transparency, they got like your regular THC drink will probably be 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams at the most. But then they got these little capsules that can be all the way up to 50 milligrams. And then so I'll go in there and I'll ask for me one of them little tablets, the 50 milligram. Then I'll have like they'll give me they'll give me like a if I purchase so many, I'll get a free bag of like these little cookies, and they're like 5 or 10 milligrams a piece, and they probably got like maybe like 8 to 12 of them in a bag. I'll pop me that main 50 milligram bag I culprit, and then that whole damn bag of cookies like that, and I'll be sturdy like that. Because even that, a lot of that stuff that's like processed now that they give you, it won't have you tripping like people might have been tripping once upon a time in the land before time. But I still think that it's better on like special occasion. And one more thing too is that for anyone that's interested, like a pro tip, if you enjoy if you enjoy THC, but you don't want to trip out too hard on it, or you wanna be steady around it, or you wanna be measured with it, you wanna be, for lack of a better word, safe as you're rolling the dice, like or as you're living a rock and roll style, and you want to be safe around THC, do it together with CBD. Like try that. Like have you any substance that you would take if you act they at the smoke shops, they have like a lot of times they'll have like the CBD cigars like that. I'm not saying a lot of times because I don't be up in there a lot, but they do do have CBD cigars. If you puff you a CBD cigar before you would take anything else, that CBD is very healthy for your body, but it also stays your mind. So if you were to have, you could, whatever you would do normally in life, like another thing, if you ever partake of anything, if you partake of alcohol, THC, damn near anything, even exercise, or maybe not exercise, you partake of anything. If you eat, if you do it on a full stomach, you'll be more sturdy like that. You can handle anything better with a full stomach like that. Except for even for maybe exercise. Exercise, one thing that a full stomach don't help, but also an empty stomach won't help you exercising either. So for exercise, you need something just like very decent, like a banana. If you had a banana before you work out, you won't be tripping because you have an empty stomach, but it won't be slowing you down where you feel like you ain't good to go. So banana might be the best thing for exercise, but also food would be the best thing for alcohol and THC as it's legal. But then also CBD will help you any substance. If you had a CBD cigar before that, the CBD will heal your body, but also you'll be more sturdy for something. But then also, if you had to exercise, at the end of exercising, CBD will help you out. So like I normally I walk I walked far recently, and the CBD helped me. It take the stress off your body like that. But so if I for my favorite drink would be coconut water, and I would still say coconut water would be better than anything I mentioned up there. Coconut water for a good time to lick your wounds, for anything, for exercise, for anything. Coconut water is damn near almost close to water. How good it is for you, and that's what I would sponsor with this message. But then for food, what do I like for food? I like curry. So I like so my family's from Southern Africa, and you have a lot of Indian influence. You have a lot of Asian influence in Africa going back like even several hundred years ago. They would be bringing people from Asia for or recruiting people from Asia for employment opportunities, but some of them may have been more or less reputable opportunities, and some of them were along the lines of like coolie labor and like indentured servitude, like getting on towards that, like similar like to what would be in India. You would have like a lot of a presence in Asia, according to my father, from presence in Southern Africa of people like from Southeast Asia. I think, according to my father. But then also you have India. So like Gandhi, he had been in South Africa. I think Gandhi had to do with South Africa, and South Africa has influences of India in the food too. So my friends of my family from Africa, when their family would come from Africa speaking very little of English and make them outstanding food, the type of food like certain food, real soul food. Soul food ain't only got to be from America, but some of our greatest soul food is America. Anything that's made with love, seasoning, culture, pedigree, taste, talent, all that together, healing, that's soul food. And one dish like that, one meal like that, you may remember that for the rest of your life. So I had some friends that were really cool in life. They weren't perfect, but they were really cool. And there were a couple times when they were no pushovers. And a couple times we had a meal of like their grandma had been visiting, and she was old then, and she made us like curry from Africa, like curry chicken. I think you have like red curry. It was red curry chicken like that. I remember that was good times right there. That meal, I'll never forget that meal that I had with my friend. I love him too, but I love that meal that we had together, and I remember that. And then I like red beans and rice. If I be so fortunate again in this life, I like tea, cinnamon tea with I wasn't a barista, but I had a job as a barista for like 2 weeks. So I know a little bit about like making like drinks, and I can give a barista a hard time, but I like but I'm not a jerk like that, but I just know like some moves that people they wouldn't be used to seeing in a coffee shop. But I like just like a regular cinnamon tea with honey and milk. If I'm on hard times, I'll put whole milk in there because normally if you even have like one large glass of whole milk, that can distort the way your face look because that fat is going straight to your face. If you're it's going straight to where you don't want it, normally whole milk. But if you're living a rugged lifestyle and you actually need the calories, then it might make your face more appealing because that fat is suitable for you in the actual deprivation. Because I think that in nature we were supposed to sustain deprivation more than we normally do. Like we weren't supposed to be outright hungry and starving, but missing meals from the demands of a day or an environment or like a rationing, that's actually very healthy. And according to Nassim Nicholas Taleb and also Joe Rogan, we experience certain. So like according to Nassim Taleb, a man-made object like this thing right here, right? It's more sturdy than my damn face, right? If this thing comes into contact with my face, this thing is stronger than my face initially, but at a certain point, this thing will shatter like that. But my face can take. I'm sound egregious like that. My face can take more abuse over time than this thing can, and it can heal from that. So your body is organic. Your body needs damage and deprivation and lack and shock, for lack of a better word, trauma. It's actually part of what keeps you viable in the game of life, in the fight. But then also, as you take damage and heal from that, you're better as a part of and beyond the damage. Like similar, like exercise, and that's a lot of the difference between an organic being or material and inorganic. Is that a lot of things that are inorganic or that have been man-made, even something like maybe a rock, it can take it's more sturdy to a point, but then it'll shatter at a point, and it doesn't actually it doesn't benefit with damage. It can sustain damage, but as at a certain degree, it'll shatter irreparably. But you, as an organic being, can take more damage over time if it doesn't all the way do permanent damage. Whatever is not permanent is more or less good for you. So, like for me to be seasoned enough to talk about the alcohol that I talked about, and even some of the like the THC that I talked about, and the actual the ramification the hell that can come with that, or just the less than pretty things that can come with that. That represents a degree of playing with that stuff and getting hurt by it, but also getting past it and being stronger for getting past it, such as to be able to enjoy it responsibly as it's appropriate. But if you're that responsible and appropriate, it can be dispensed with. But that's a lot of the difference. But Joe Rogan also says that there's something like cold and heat shock proteins that are released in our body. So certain shock, I would imagine that certain emotional shocks are like that too. Like even someone say, "Hey, you're trying to sing around here? Go fly a kite, buddy. Even though it's nighttime, buddy. Go look for a job, buddy. Even though it's nighttime, buddy." But actually, like certain uh like jumping into a cold lake, or like sometimes you watch like people like athletes working out and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're about to jump in the lake real quick," and that's it look cold, but that's actually look very healthy too, because the shock of that, if you don't actually get hypothermia or damage your skin like with like frostbite, whatever you get up to the point before actual permanent damage occurs, when you get back from that, that's very good for you as cold goes, and then also as heat. But if you overdo that, it can be bad, clearly. But but so but I like milk, honey, and cinnamon, and then anything to do with cinnamon is very healthy. Cinnamon is healthy. Vanilla is healthy. Those are some basic herbs that I'm not. Mint is healthy. I like mint tea, so I'll go for. So I order different things from different places. Like if I were to go to Starbucks, have some time on my hands or money to blow at Starbucks, or I would get like they have a mint Majesty tea at Starbucks. It's just simple mint tea, but it's really good if you ask for it with milk, like say 2% milk, and some. I think they would have honey packets, like two honey packets. But then if I'm on regular times, like if I'm inside of doors, inside of jobs, inside of cars, then I wouldn't go past 2% milk. But if I'm living that lifestyle where you benefit from the shocks, but you also need the calories, then I go with the whole milk like that, straight up whole milk like that with the red cap. Um, and then so those are some of my moves there. And then if I were at Caribou, I would get their cinnamon tea, just cinnamon tea bag with honey and whole milk. I don't think they have whole milk. I do 2%, or oat milk. Like at a lot of your coffee places, most coffee shops, they carry oat milk. Some of their higher tier drinks have that, and it's very delicious. But you have to be careful about that because the oat milk, it doesn't keep very well. It can go back. Like a lot of, I would imagine, like you go into a convenience store and you imagine what's the most dangerous, potentially dangerous thing in here. You would think that it'd be the alcohol and cigarettes, but it's actually the creamer. Whatever they would have for creamer laying around in a uh someone said I now know Spanish and English. Shout out for the app Duolingo is really cool. I've been getting colder with Spanish with Duolingo, and I was saying little fly. I was saying I'm gonna be agree. I was saying little fly shit out my mouth with poetry in Spanish and humor in Spanish in the Twin Cities when I was doing deliveries. And then I came upon a brilliant Spanish song that I'm going to learn how to cover, like an old school Spanish song. And they were using a lot of the same pretentious words that I was putting together, I was concocting one at a time with Google to float in the Twin Cities, like words I think canción means song, sueño means dream, alma means soul, cielo means heaven, Serio bendecido encuentra a ti, Serio bendecido encuentra a ti, um, no, Serio bendecido encuentra a ti. Serio bendecido mejor si ti escucha mi música de la guitarra. La cadena, la guitarra es mi concepción de cielo. Si su ojos, si la luz de sus ojos es mi concepción de cielo también. Está mi alma. Toda la gente del mundo es un gente. Toda la vida es una persona. Toda la vida es una persona, un amor, gente, un fuerte. Um, uh, um, uh and like so I'll be like saying stuff like that, but you can get on with stuff like that if you mess with Duolingo for even like a month. If you mess with Duolingo for a month straight, you don't miss no days up on Duolingo. It's addictive in the first place, and it's fun, and it's kind of hot, it's kind of sexy actually, Duolingo, and you could get sexy looks if you get sturdy around that. If you're interested in Spanish or to learn English from Spanish, Duolingo is hella sturdy. I recommend Duolingo, and I ain't got paid for that. But those are some of my moves around food like that. But I think I'll try to get back to the topic on here. I got more I could riff on stuff like that. But um, what I wanted to say is that I had been talking about so I've been having experiences the whole summer, but also the last month, the last week, the last few days, like I've not had before. And so where I'm at, I actually met a man who, when I was meeting him, he was very deep and spiritual. I thought he had been Native American, like fair skin, Caucasian, leaning or mixed Native American, but I actually met a real living Viking descendant, a descendant of the Vikings, and he was actually teaching me. He's literate in Viking runes. He can actually draw. He can spell an entire Viking rune, and he can tell you what each of those symbols mean as he's drawing them. Like there's a word I misspoke on the prior video. I said fire start. I think it was fire save. Fire save. So when you're going through difficulty, like say you're stranded somewhere and you need a fire, or you need a last means of something to keep you alive. Whatever that last means to keep you alive that barely get by with, you barely get that fire to start with, that's called a fire save. And he was teaching me he can. So I've met people like I probably have read a lot of book. I probably have a I can think of some words out the top of my head that a lot of people wouldn't be familiar with in the modern English, just because I read some books from like 100 years ago, like words like jejun, lejun. I think it's lejun or jejun. Does anyone know what jejun means, or lejun? Does anyone know what jejun or lejun means? That means like I think that means like very boring. Or would be another rare word. I the recrudescence. Recrudescence means like when you have things like say selling drugs, or like they say. I don't mean to be egregious with this, right? But they say that Trump. I didn't mean to be political with this, but just as an example, they said that Trump was in Tennessee. I lived in Tennessee, in Memphis, but Trump was making a political statement by putting a military presence in Memphis, Tennessee, and such as to override and change the dynamics of that city instantly. I think most change is a process. Like if you wanted to do change, if Trump really wanted to address Tennessee, Chicago, anything like that, even the border, if you wanted to address that humanely and not do political damage or damage to human beings, as is ethical to do, to really address a real need of people to make things healthier and safer, you would do that as a process, like as because it doesn't things don't get one way as a process. So if you're doing it instantly arbitrary, this is about to change because I am making it change, because it's more about me at that point. You're using force right there. You're not using skill, and you're not complete. That would be attended by some form of violence. Somebody is experiencing less injustice, even if that's the people that you're calling a bad guy. If you're doing it outright arbitrary like that, hey man, we're putting boots on the ground. Boots on the ground might be another word for saying fucking up. We're fucking up now because we're having to put boots on the ground. If you had to put a boot down somewhere, you likely, if I'm being honest, you fucked something up somewhere. If you wanted to do that right, you would have programs like that. You would have You actually don't get nowhere past incentive. Yeah, I've said in this video and this channel like things about like contraband. Like so, if you had a school, a place like I'm at, or even a detention facility, you don't get the cooperation you need and the changes you need and the compliance you need by force, by authority, by cleverness, by deceit, by guile, by none of that. You get it by incentive. That would be contraband. So what goes? Because they got to be give and take. What goes two ways? What's the only thing where we can both win with this thing? Where we can both that's barter, baby. That's contraband. That sturdy deals. You don't get nowhere on this earth with people without their permission and or cooperation, and that take a sturdy deal to do that. A mutual incentive. We don't get nowhere except for mutual self-interest. I think we get on with mutual self-interest. So, but also, if you wanted to really make somebody work, like sometimes I have a mind that can be kind of wicked, even though I'm not against nobody because I don't want nothing coming my way or to hurt people because I love people. But if you really wanted to make somebody work hard, it would be a matter of incentive. You have to incentivize a person to work hard. And whatever is your idea of working hard, you can work that much harder with the appropriate incentive. Somebody might know what I'm talking about. That can I get an amen? You can work harder with the appropriate incentive. Can I get an amen? But so if you wanted to really address things like things that are going on, you would have to have incentives, mutual incentives. Both the people that you're wanting to protect and the people that you are claiming to want to protect them from, you would have to have an appropriate incentive, a win-win, not easy, not a handout, not easy come easy go. But if you wanted a real incentive, you would have to have a win-win, but not an easy win because it hadn't been a win if it was easy. I think sports does a lot of that. So like there's certain things that will change an area. Like in the past it had been a bookstore, so the presence of certain bookstore that statistically, as you have the presence of bookstores in a municipality, in a living zone, in an urban area, or just a township, a living center, as the presence of bookstores there will change certain statistics and outcomes, real life outcomes, the best imaginable outcomes, the worst imaginable outcomes. They will be impacted by the presence of bookstores. I picked that up somewhere. I would go on to extrapolate that might be present, that might be tended by the presence of musical instruments in homes, opportunities for musical lessons up to and including beat machine. Like when I was in high school, we had an audio program at the high school I went to in my city. We had actual studio. My homeroom of high school was an actual music studio. My homeroom in high school had been a music studio with the actual real rock and roller music producer from the 70s. I don't know all of what he was responsible for, but I'll just say somebody might know the great man. I'm gonna blast the man's name. His name had been a color. I'm gonna go on this video talking about colors is one of the things I want to talk about. His name had been a certain color. That's how kind of person he was. His name to students and faculty was just simply a color, just that color. No more, no less. That's that man. But he was from the '70s era, and he was a real uh, record producer that never realized that it stopped being the '70s. Even though he's educating us, but he wasn't out of his time, but his attitude was out of his time. Because like I was one time I was messing around on a beat machine in his class. I was like he'll be talking shit to the students, right? He's like, yeah, like, he had all of us wannabe like hip hopper. We were actually some hip hoppers there. You had a group at that school called, so where I'm from in the Twin Cities, you had a group called Atmosphere. Some people, some real hip hoppers on here, hip hop heads on here, would know who I'm talking about. Atmosphere. But Atmosphere, they had a crosstown rival and near peer. I always say this group would give them some real smoke back in the day. They're called Verbal Tactics. I don't know if there's any somebody out here sturdy enough to be familiar with the group Verbal Tactics. I knew some of the members of the group Verbal Tactics, and my friend's sister She was a friend. She's no longer with us, but she would rock with them, and I got to meet them because I would hang out with her like as a freshman. But Verbal Tactics was there. But this dude whose name was a color, he come around their self and all the other people in that class, like listening to like your late '90s, very early 2000, first year 2000 hip hop heads, whatever you would have been bumping back then, like Outkast, Bone Thugs and Harmony would have been hard back then. Twista, that's a little bit more street, but like your more formal would have been like Outkast. Everybody was rocking with Outkast. Before Outkast had like I like the way you move. A few years before that, it had been I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real. That was our coming out song in ninth grade. That's what everybody would have been rocking in ninth grade. But all of us on that type of time, this color would come in front of us. This person named the color. He said, "Hey man, y'all are on these beat machines, this and that, but y'all shit don't make nobody want to dance, man. Y'all come back when y'all got something that makes somebody want to dance, man. I don't care about all this hip hop head, this crucial stuff, this lyrical stuff, man. I ain't messing with that. I ain't jacking with." He had been a white producer talking like this. He said, "I ain't messing with that. Come, I need a little bit of funk and something. I need." He damn near said, "I need some funky chicken out of y'all, man. Can any of y'all come back? I know y'all hip hop, this and that, crucial, this and that." Tactic, but can any of y'all no smoke at Verbal Tactics? My bad. I'm gonna walk down my back. I don't want me no smoke with the group Verbal Tactics to this day because they'll put so if they had to they'll put somebody in their place this day and make you never want to touch a mic again, never want to touch a camcorder again. And if they did that publicly, they might take away my hall pass to be messing around with content creation in the middle of the night to this day. Verbal Tactics might do that, but to the rest of us in there, he'll be like, "Hey man, I need something funkier out of y'all that makes somebody want to dance." But then one time I had been on a beat machine like that, and I had a cool. It was a cool little beat I made on a beat machine. He's like, "Oh yeah, this and that." But what about that right there? And then he put that in my little loop. And then some of these actual people on with like those type of like lyrical groups like that come through and be like, "Hold up, Shorty made that? You made that?" They didn't say nothing more about that. One of the upperclassmen came through. He's like, "Hold up, you made that?" He didn't say nothing more about that. Only thing I heard about it after that was I was having little clout. I was having some clout around the upperclassmen, like, "Oh man, Shorty got beast, man." I already that dude. He didn't say nothing back to my face. He just let it be known what type of beats I was making. But it had been the big homie, the teacher that had he had put a couple little he had hit the beat machine that made it cold like that. But my school had a studio in it. But the presence of that program that got me to this day. The fact that I'm up on a camera right now as a content creator, but also like becoming a musician, it go all the way back to my homeroom first day of high school, first class, first hour, no, orientation of high school. Before high school ever started, I was in a homeroom. I was up in the studio from that point since orientation to high school. My the day orientation day of high school, we had these big old stairs, and it had been like somebody on my basketball team was walking up that stairs with me, and these kind of like sexy upperclassmen that were like chaperoning us, the ambassadors. They're like, "Hey guys, when you guys get up to the top of those stairs, your life is gonna change. Your life is never gonna be the same since you get to the top of those stairs." And then we got to the top of the stairs, and my friend was like, "Man, I don't feel no different." But actually, she wasn't lying though, because he was clever to say something like that. But my life ain't been the same since I walked up to the stairs because shit been real that whole time to this day. But no sooner did I go into school than I was up in the audio class, this the my homeroom. But all I meant to say is that the presence of that program in our school, it would have been changing the metrics of that city because my life was different because of that. But just sturdy programs like that. Even I'm saying musical lessons can include beat machines, musical education and participation and initiative and endeavor. It can include beat machines. It can include emceeing. It can include beatboxing. It can include making music with musical theory or no musical theory. But that'll change a city like that. Then also like extracurricular activities will change a city like that. So activities like sports, anything to give young people something cool to do, something to be preoccupied with that's different than the normal things like this kind of bullshit. I started this video talking about like alcohol and THC and stuff like that. Shit cooler than that. That's also seem cooler than that to young people, and that will serve them their whole life. That's the type of things that will change things like that. So if we have been wanting to change anything, it'll be a matter of mutual incentive that actually works for everyone's best interest, because even people that we're calling bad actors, they still have an interest in this life, and they still have things worth giving back to this life and worth enjoying that we need from them too. So if we were really going to get things on the right way, it would be a process and a program, and it ain't nothing overnight. Rome wasn't built overnight, and things weren't fixed overnight. But for the city, like for some of these regions that Trump is going about, if you were to change these places, or you were to near about overhaul them, and for lack of a better word, stamp out something that you don't like, it will likely come back kind of like an ember, like a fire. So fire emits embers, or like a spliff. It'll have like those embers in there, and you forgot that that thing had been lit, but it can still, that spliff can come back to life. And if you put it in the wrong place, it can make a whole fire. It can make a whole forest go up. It can make a whole an ember can make a spliff reignite, an ashtray reignite. It can make a structure ignite. It can make an entire state. It can make an entire region go up in flame. An ember can do that. Were an ember to do that, that's called recrudescence. So for something to some things, they come in and out of sway, like certain practices, certain faiths, certain activities, pro-social and anti-social, and maybe the indifferent different things in the human experience, even music, for genres of music, styles of clothes, they themes in music, themes in literature, themes in art, themes in film, themes in humanity, themes in society, themes in culture, themes. All these things, they come in and out like that, and that's called recrudescence. And so that's a word that a lot of people wouldn't have heard about. And a lot of people wouldn't know that. So I'm just saying that I've been versed around some things, like big words to do, like to be literate. But this person that I met is actually literate in Viking runes, and he comes from that. That's actually his people, but he can speak to that. And then also he but not only that, but he gave me a ceremony tonight, and he allowed me to, I don't mean to be vulgar with that, but just to enunciate. I was smudging tonight. I had he taught me what it means, to what you're doing when you're smudging, how to smudge, and so I was able to smudge tonight. So I'm making this film with the freedom and liberty, and the new beginning of having smudge tonight, with a person who is actually competent and explaining to me exactly what we're getting ready to do, what's the meaning of this, what's the reverence of this, and how it will serve us and protect us. And so I actually met a person like that, and I just wanted to shout that out. But to just to dial it all the way back, is that I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I was thinking about recently, before I had some changes take place, and I wanted to talk about the significance of colors. So part of I was making a video by a waterfront a couple of days ago, and a man walked by, and he was dressed to the nines. He had on a red like baby wool, some kind of unique wool, of like it looked like a Kango cat, but I don't think it wasn't like a designer. It was like an actual like handmade like brilliant red, almost just the kind of red that's out of this world. And I want to talk about that color. Then he had a red scarf like that. He had an all black sweater, and then he had some crisp blue jeans. And I didn't see what his shoes looked like. And when he walked by, I was giving him a hard time, like it's like how cool he looked. But then I was saying that I wanted to talk about the significance of colors when I said that, and I wasn't talking about colors like what people. I wasn't talking about it as in terms of affiliation, but but as more as what colors actually are in nature. And so I wanted to say that some things, some of the power of symbolism, you can suss it out and reason it out without the assistance of a resource. Like, so I think that I did another video some time back, and it got some of the cooler feedback and commentary that I've got on my channel, talking about the significance of the color yellow, disciplining your awareness, simple by based on color. So like a lot of times your attention is diffuse, and we're easily distracted, and we can go on tangents. Like on this video, I've been going on a lot of tangents, but I've actually had a little bit of a coherence in the thought process. If you'll humor me, I have somewhere I'm going, and I don't go down a path without an intention of bringing it back. Some people may appreciate that as a skill set or a redundancy, but it's to each their own. I guess it's maybe as it serves a situation, it may mean something. But your attention can be diffused if you're not training it upon something. But you can train anything, even your attention. I watched a video by along the line of Real Social Dynamics, like I was talking about earlier. Real Social Dynamics Tyler, they would court on and entertain a guest there. I think his name was Anthony something. He was a brilliant fitness guru, and he was saying back then that right at the time I was going down the rabbit hole of YouTube content, he was saying that you can dispense with any YouTube video. You can even dispense with my content to this present day if you appreciate that anything that you would like to experience and enjoy in this life and achieve, whether that be a skill set or an undertaking, that's something you'd like to build, something you'd like to understand, experience, build for others, help others experience, anything you would like to attain that's worth attaining in the form of objective or subjective experience, like even if you want to become better at meditation, some anything you would like to achieve for yourself, it may be had as it is able to be had by discipline, by a function of discipline. Were you to desire something and set out towards it upon the path and intention and mode and means of discipline, you may have it as it may be had by you by discipline, no more than or less. You would like to achieve something, and you're inspired to find a way to approach it by means of discipline. And the more you employ discipline, as you're inspired to, as you're challenged to, the sooner and closer and more exact you may come by that as it can be had. In India, they would say something similar: is that nothing? So you can read a lot, you can learn a lot, understand a lot, but it won't necessarily make you more than a pundit unless you had introduced discipline. That is striving. That's called sadhana, I think, in India. And what and that like a more generic way to say that would be practice, but it actually encompasses your entire existence, and it challenges any degree of your existence, and it can also cost you your existence if you're really undergoing sadhana. Practice is similar, where if you whatever you're practicing, you don't appreciate how solemn it is, but the implications of what you would like. I went to school. I went to online school. The expense that takes, but also the time that I would spend investing in that training, it can cost me anything, including my life, because whatever I'm spending on that, whatever resource, including time, which is our greatest resource, it's been argued by a lot of people. I could be spending it somewhere else. Then whatever else I could be doing could also save my life at one point. What I'm studying may or may not save my life, but what I could be doing instead may or may not have saved my life. And so it's a deep, solemn undertaking to spend time on anything, including practice. And what would allow you to practice something, it takes that amount of sacrifice and daring on your behalf and others to allow you to do that. That's a little bit what's daunting, I think, about, say you're an artist or you have any passion, but you're daunted by how may I support myself with this? That is, how may I pursue this without the support of someone who loves me, or even a job where I'm otherwise trading time to have their support and their relative safety of that form of income. How may I be true to what I'm undergoing while I have the actual rigors of earning a livelihood? That's deeper. You would think that it stops there at livelihood, but it's actually way deeper than that. How may I afford to spend time investing in this, pursuing this? That actually puts your entire existence at jeopardy. If you were to be true enough to something, you're gonna get that way. Like if you even dabble with something, at a certain point, shit gonna get real if you dabble with it, because you're spending time with that. You're either gonna get good at it, or you're gonna get your feelings hurt doing it because you're not being congruent. But still, it's gonna come to a point where it got to get real. Like even if you dabble in it, it's gonna mess around and get real, or you're gonna have to make a decision that this is real, or I'm gonna have to do something else that I feel stronger about. But it's gonna have to get real at a point. Even if you were dabbling in it, it's gonna get around to getting real, or it's gonna have to get real if you're dabbling in it or not. If you're just simply thinking about it, it's gonna get real at one point, or you're gonna have to be forced to change what you're thinking about. But it's gonna be one or the other. It get real, or you're gonna get real at one point. And so you would think that that's about. And some people, they try to get past that, myself included. That let me do this job, let me flirt with it. Then at the time where I'm ready to get real with it, I'm ready for it to get real. It'll be so real that I can handle not having the support of that job. But that doesn't sound likely when you say it like that. But it doesn't have to not be likely. But that doesn't sound likely. The simple fact is that if you're interested in something, it's gonna test your metal, and put your entire existence at jeopardy, and your existence hangs in the balance. That doesn't mean that you have to be a famous rock and roller, or that you're even in the clear because you got to be a famous rock and roller, because even rock and rollers, they struggle too with things, And if it had been about the money at one point, they may have to make a decision too. Hey, is this thing? So we have to have a meeting as a band. What is this? What is this? What are we? Is this about money, or is this about us being creative? Is this about our families that we got to support, or is it about being creative, or is it about supporting our families with being creative? I think the very Beatles themselves came to that point where they had some. My father was telling me that there were some divergence in terms of their values. The Beatles have been like that. I think that I've quoted Sir John Woodruff on this channel as being a knight. I've learned a lot about Sir John Woodruff. He was a knight of England and a justice of the High Court of India, but also a spiritual person. And the actual references I'm making to Sadhana came from Sir John Woodruff, that is the knight. But he had been a knight, but also he had aspirations, if not pretensions, of being a spiritual person. And the solemn truths that he came by in terms of spirituality, he hadn't deciphered those or discovered those himself. He had translated them, deciphered them, studied them, appropriated them, borrowed them, divulged them, transcribed them, professed them, published them under the auspices of real, actual ascetics, saints, gurus, sages, that it had been real to them. Their entire existence had, maybe priests too, their entire existence was wrapped up in this thing about yoga, about meditation, about spirituality, about living a life of alms, subsisting on alms, that is generous donations to support your spiritual path. You're so much about spirituality that you would put your entire livelihood at stake, such as you're now vulnerable like that. People that would pass you and see you, like, also the sight of a person who is possessed of certain knowledge, but also possessed of certain passions and interests and undertakings and darings and sacrifices and lessons and undergoings, is an actual blessing to another person. If a person were to lay eyes, according to Arthur Avalon, if a person were to lay eyes upon a genuine sage or just a genuine seeker, a person who has genuine spiritual knowledge, such as the person that I met here, that is actually literate in Viking runes of his people, and also can perform a native ceremonies like he did for me tonight. To lay eyes on such a person, to be in earshot of such a person, to receive an actual garment. This garment speaks of Tokyo. He gave me that sweat hoodie about Tokyo. Um, to do so changes a person because you're now possessed of some of their being possessed, and you're blessed for that. But also, there's a certain duty that you owe that person back. If you're from other walks of other, in certain parts of the world, if you come across a genuine saint who is living upon alms, they're not hoarding alms, they're not profiting from alms, but they're surviving alms, and they're being true to a practice by means of alms. That's very sturdy, and you're somewhat confronted by that. You're confronted with the sight of a blessing when you see that. How may you honor that? In some places, they're very solemn about that, and that you may be obliged, if you're sincere, to help them with alms. That had been my case to the last few days. In that, where I'm making this, someone asked about my home. I would say this is my home now because I have people that love me enough to give them the best that they give me the best of that they have, share with me their heritage, spell for me their heritage, and also perform a ceremony for me. That had been my home temporarily. I can call this place home. It's interesting that when he was spelling the Viking rune like that, he got to the actual symbol that spelled home, that means home, where you feel safe, and the actual piece of chalk that he was using, it wouldn't work, and he needed me to hand him a chalk. So it would be that he's spelling a spiritual Viking rune with real symbols that represent real elements. A lot of them refer to fortune, a person's fortune and standing in this life. You may say that there's actually nothing more important in this life of more consequence and bearing upon you than implications of your fortune, because anything you would do in life that you would be allowed to do by circumstance is a function of your present, and maybe your ancestors' former, your present fortune, and how that'll speak to your descendants if you're so blessed to have a progeny. But where you are right now, how you're existing, what you're suffering, what you're enjoying, what you're learning through all that to further enjoy, it amounts to your actual fortune. So these different things have been different symbols that speak to your fortune. And if you've been blessed like me to see different years of as an adult, all those symbols he was referring to are very deep to me, and I have real experiences that I can see when he's enunciating what these symbols mean, who some of these symbols mean, but what they mean, and such as I couldn't have without an experience to reference. But he was spelling the word for home, and he couldn't do that without my support. But it's interesting that where we are, he's spelling a solemn spiritual rune. All the things that he spelled there are solemn runes. Like some of them would be appropriated or maybe borrowed like in like popular culture and mythology, but this actual rune that he spelled is nothing of pop culture. That's actual real heritage that he spelled for there. But he could not clearly spell the rune for home where we were, because I think that where we are now is actually it's we're standing upon usurped land. He himself is native and Viking. You had native and Viking heritage in the area where I'm at, and what he tells me is that the Viking people, they were the first Europeans to settle in the Americas, but they actually didn't have conflict with the Native Americans. According to him, they had peace, standing peace, sturdy peace, real peace by means of trade and bartering. So they would be trading that time. When I met the man, I didn't know he was Viking, but he complimented me on a jacket that I had that I came up here that I came with. And when he complimented me with it, he said it genuinely, and I gave it to him. I said that, you know what, dang it, this is yours now because you were honest when you said that. He said, what? I said, no, no, you may have this because that will. It's cooler now. Anything that you wear, it's cooler if it had been owned by someone before you and it was given to you by their own choosing. So I think that if you have the flesh of an animal, that animal presented itself and allowed itself to be vulnerable enough for you to possess it. If you didn't have to terrify and traumatize and stalk the animal, if it was presented to you appropriately, it had given itself. What more can you give somebody than your own self? That had been an animal gave you to that a lot of times in the past. But in this case, I gave him a garment. This garment that I have is about the most of. I would imagine that the way that I got to the relative safety that I have was a function of either the grace of bearing an instrument, that's my plight as an artist and musician, that I've actually given a lot of my opportunity in life to do anything else and to own anything else with what resources I've had and been dispossessed of. That amounts to my plight as an artist. My former video was to pledge as an artist, but then also some of the graces that I got. One of the runes that he spelled had to do with a cart, the idea of being carted somewhere. And I had different blessings in the form of receiving a ride, like being carted somewhere. And I think it may have had to do with this garment, the graces that I was given by another homeless man in the Twin Cities. And this wouldn't be as sturdy, it wouldn't be as swag, it wouldn't be as graceful had it not belonged to someone else first and been given to me of their own choosing like that. So I had given the brother something that belonged to me just because of how genuine he sounded. And then because of that, he gave me yet cooler, greater garments and insight and understanding into his heritage. And he spelled a rune for me. And he also performed a ceremony for me to cleanse me, smudging. So I wanted to commend him for that. But I'm low on battery, so I can't get to the point about colors that I wanted to. But just that these are some of the experiences I've had, and also I've been appreciating that along that line. And I'll come back. I'll make another video yet tonight because I wanted to about the color, and I want to come back with that. But I hope this can be of value, and I'm going to keep rocking with this. Peace. Thank you for anyone witnessing this, and I say this only for the purposes of learning and improvement and a discipline, so that people may have what they would like to have in this life, and that's going to come about by discipline. I think. Peace.